Did you see today? I know that you're a fan of the David Lynch weather updates.
Yeah,
There was one today.
I didn't see that, but I did see that he announced that he's going to be making an announcement tomorrow.
He did, yeah. That was one of his. That was his weather update. so there's something coming tomorrow. I'm hoping it's what would they say? That gum you like. I hope he's telling us that gum we like is going to come back in style.
Yeah, maybe that would be it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're doing another Twin Peaks.
Something would be good.
Or something as an offshoot of that. So he's got it. I know it. All I know of it is he's got something going with, I think, Netflix. And it's kind of a big secret thing. But if you've been following any sort of Twin Peaksy stuff as obsessively as I have, you've probably seen some of the Twin Peaks people kind of at certain locations out of the blue, which is weird, and just kind of tweeting random things or something. So something's kind of hopefully up with those guys.
It felt like they dropped a few.
That's what I'm wishing for. Yeah, there's something. It might not be like, maybe it's an offshoot. I don't know if there's a. We could do a whole episode on Twin Peaks. I'm in the middle of watching it all right now, but we won't go too far down the Peaks rabbit hole. That's a big one. But
we won't peek down the hole today.
No, we won't peek down the hole. But yeah, there's definitely signs pointing to that direction anyway, where we could be seeing something peaksy. So here's crossing our fingers. We'll find out tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about next time in regards to this. Have you been watching anything or doing anything cool, Tim, under this lockdowny stuff?
While I finished Dexter off, Dexter season 8.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth on the text about Dexter.
Yeah, the Dexter text log is big. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we're going to spoil Dexter.
Yeah, we're going to totally spoil it. How does everybody figure that Dexter became a lumberjack? Did they see him cutting down a tree? No.
Well, I think it's just because he kind of had the lumberjack shirt on.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make driving a truck is not the same thing as being a lumberjack. That makes you a trucker. And I have to say that out of anything that could have happened, I'm more sad that he's a trucker now than anything else.
Really?
That just feels like a low point in his life.
Trucking.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's only got a few good years left of that, and then he's going to be replaced by a robot. So
now, if you're listening and you're a trucker, I'm going to say I'm sorry, but there's still hope. You can still change your ways and become not a trucker. You could still become, a serial killer or something. Improve your life.
Oh my God. I shouldn't be laughing at that, but it's funny. So now I want to talk about your feelings. How did the ending of this show make you feel?
The same way that I felt when Walking Dead killed one of our favorite characters in season 8, I think it was, or whatever. And my wife and I just looked at each other like, we feel used. We feel cheapened by this. That's how I felt. I felt emotionally abused.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think the thing is, are you talking about Glenn?
I'm talking about Glenn.
Yeah.
When Glenn's head got beat in. Yeah. It was just a cheap move. So Dexter season 8 pulled some cheap moves too.
Yeah, I think when you get that, I was pretty invested in Glenn also, and that's about the point where I stopped watching that show faithfully. Not that super duper bothered me or whatever. I kind of like that character, Negan, and I understand that Glenn gets beaten to death in the comic books too, in a similar fashion and by the same guy. But it's just like, you get I didn't know any of that stuff until after it had all happened, and the same with Dexter. Like, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is, you get emotionally invested in this stuff. And I think when you're watching Dexter, you kind of hit this point in that last season where you get kind of like, you steel yourself for what you think is going to happen. And then when it doesn't, and you see what does, it kind of like hits you and you're like, what the hell did I just see? And you have no kind of,
you're not primed for it.
Yeah. You're not primed for it. And it just kind of leaves you going, what the shit? And you're it's like you're drifting in space. You don't know.
Yeah, they didn't telegraph the way the story was going to go and leave us hints so that we could feel prepared for it.
It was
dumped it on us.
A non-ending, right? Like very non-committal. They just shovel something at you that I think the thing is it wasn't even in his character. Like nothing would indicate with his character that he'd be a friggin' truck driving. Maybe he's
No.
a log hauler. Maybe.
Well, he is. He's a log hauling truck driver.
Yeah.
I've spent unlike most people, I've spent a lot of time around that particular kind of trucks driving back and forth on logging roads. And I'm not saying that they're low class people. I'm just saying they're not in his purview.
So you'd be okay with unleashing Dexter upon these fellows?
Well, yeah. I mean, he'd have lots of targets in that industry. He would.
Well, I imagine. So I have bitten the bullet. I'm going to move away. We're going to get mad if we talk about Dexter because it was a sad ending. But I have recommended you that if you love Michael C. Hall, you'll really like him in 6 Feet Under, which preceded Dexter. And that was the show that got me to watch Dexter. When it ended, I was saying to you that when that show ended, I was like, oh, man. And I was really into it. And I needed, and then a guy at work, big shout out to Mr. Peter Smiley, mentioned that there was a show with that guy from it. And he was a serial killer killing killers. So I jumped all over Dexter, and I love Dexter. Like I still love Dexter. I don't think it's a huge waste of time until you get to a certain point, but there's lots of good moments in that show. And to get what I'm saying is 6 Feet Under. If you're
it's really, not a cop show, right?
Not at all. It's about a family run funeral home.
I don't know if you know what propaganda is.
No.
Okay. Well, propaganda in specific refers to, propaganda making all cops look a certain way in the eyes of the public. But I'm going to steal that term to talk about any show that revolves around a cop station, which there is just way too many of. Like every show revolves around cops. Even Lucifer takes place at a cop station. Like every show has to be about cops. Propaganda.
Okay.
I need to watch a couple shows that don't have anything to do with cops for a little while, if you know what I mean.
Nope, this one's about people who run a funeral home.
Well, that's good. I mean, maybe a wing of the FBI or something instead of straight up cops. I don't know. There's got to be something. And that's the other thing is so many of my favorite science fiction actors run out of science fiction work. And then what do they have to do?
Go to a cop show.
And it's depressing. It's like, wow, you just stepped down, man.
I can't remember the last time I watched anything, any sort of cop show. Okay, I'll tell you the last... propaganda. I'm going to start at this. I think this is going to stick. Propaganda show that I liked was The Other Guys with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, that was the last really.
But there's so many movies. Like there's Two Guns, and there's quite the list of cop movies, or FBI movies, or it's just a tired gig. Yeah,
it's kind of like the Doctor show, right? Like, we've identified that this kind of thing has been high drama for quite some time, and we're just leaning into it really heavy.
And I understand why people are against propaganda because I was reading an article earlier called "What is Propaganda? A Look at the Dangerous Ways Police Seek Public Sympathy and Why Film and TV Portrayals of the Police are Under Fire." Because a lot of the time it makes them look like always the hero, right?
Yeah.
Dexter didn't really do that.
No, there was some bad coppery. There was some bad coppery. One show that I've heard that is really good is called The Wire, and I've never watched that. And I think that's pretty high up on my list. But I heard that's kind of like I don't know. Do you know anything about The Wire?
No, I don't.
All right, we won't talk about it then because I don't know anything about it either. But I just know I've heard that it's amazing. And there's some, one of the things that I don't watch any cop shows or anything like that, but I'll flip through channels or whatever. And I noticed that Ice-T is on a cop show. And then I just like all I remember of Ice-T, some of his movies in the 90s, but I remember when he brought out that album Cop Killer.
Yeah.
And now he's on a cop show.
He's been in a lot of different roles.
We live in a cartoon. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I've 6 Feet Under, definitely. If you get a chance to check that out. And today I just found on iTunes, I grabbed a copy of Fringe season 1. So I'm going to give that a go.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, you're about the umpteenth person that's recommended this show to me. So I'm just going to dive right in. So if you're a Fringe listener out there, I might be batting around some Fringe stuff in the future when we talk about stuff on here. We're just going to jump into Fringe too, I guess.
That show, I was just reading about this guy's take on the different seasons of Fringe and how they changed. Whereas in the first one, they were a procedural FBI kind of Mulder Scully type thing. And then it went away from that fairly soon after the first season.
No, I can't wait. Like, I know it rates high. We did one of those. I got sucked into one of those disgrace book top TV shows lists or whatever. So I made my list, and a lot of people were like, "You haven't seen Fringe?" And I was like, "No." And they all said that I'd love it. So, and many of them, you included, I have a certain amount of respect for. So I think I might give it a watch.
I'm probably going to end up watching Fringe for the third time.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is crazy, but it's been quite a few years now. It's not like it's all totally fresh, right?
No, 3 times. I'm on my third go around with Twin Peaks here. So
I can guarantee you I won't be watching Dexter again. I just won't.
No. TV rewatches, that's a funny thing, eh? Like, I don't know how many TV shows I've rewatched in my lifetime. It's not very many.
No. Well, it's hard to, like I told you about the Dexter thing, when I worked with that guy that we were eating lunch together every day, and he bought a case of 24 cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli.
Ooh.
And then he was eating them cold in the truck, like, because we were eating our lunch in the truck. And he'd open a can, he might have slightly warmed it up on the dash, and then he'd crank it open and he'd grab a spoon. And for the first 10 or so cans, he was good with it. But then it slowly started building up on him that he was just abusing his body and he hated this stuff. And he's down to like the 20th can. He had 4 left. And I said, you don't have to eat the last 4. And he's like, but I have to. I paid good money for these.
Oh, man.
And that's how I felt shoving down the last few episodes of Dexter.
To find out that he's a trucker.
Yeah.
Heating up cans of Chef Boyardee. I don't know. Do you want to jump into, at this point, do you want to talk about WandaVision? We've both been watching that, and I guess that's the big main event for you and I right now.
Well, sure. Let's talk about WandaVision.
All right. So we got episode 4. Preface: we're gonna throw it out here. We're spoilering. We're throwing spoilers around like there's no tomorrow. So we're just gonna spoil this show. And if you don't like it, turn off now, turn out, get out of here, and don't listen. But we're going to talk about all the things spoilery in WandaVision. And we're even going to talk about stuff that maybe will spoil stuff down the road. So get out what you can. You've been warned. So I wrote some notes down. So a couple things on this one. So we're out of the sitcom stuff for the most part in this one. And we're into the meat and potatoes of what's going on. And it's kind of what I thought. So there's obviously she's commandeered a whole town, and no one can get or see inside. You can kind of look inside, but you can't see what's going on. It looks like there's nothing in there. And we got a whole Sword. I don't know who Sword is, but they're set up outside.
They're the sentient weapon observation. What's the rest of it? Sentient weapon observation. There's a couple more words there. Obviously,
so she's considered a sentient weapon.
Must be.
Okay,
that would be what you could assume, right?
So they're there anyway, and they're checking out what's going on, and they bring in Dr. Lewis. Is it from Thor?
Yeah. So
she comes into the scene, and she teams up with my favorite of Ant-Man's villains, Agent Jimmy Woo.
Mm-hmm.
And together they sit down and watch some shows and kind of figure out what's going on inside this crazy thing. So what I kind of surmised from this was that she was kind of like gassing herself or whatever it is. Like she's kind of like putting this fantasy world on for her own mental well-being sort of thing. And I guess that's more or less what we got. She gets flashes of that every once in a while, and then she scoots some people out of the world. I don't know. As the big Marvel guy, Tim, what do you figure?
Well, I'd say that she's probably being manipulated into doing what she wants to do, if you know what I mean. She wants to be, because her brother died and her husband or boyfriend or whatever you want to call him died, so Vision. Mm-hmm. Well, in fact, she was forced to kill him first, and then he was brought back to life and re-killed in front of her. She's just in a lot of emotional pain, and she's dodging the pain. Somebody gave her a way to do that. Now, this town, Westview, is known in the comic books as to be a place where magical type beings hide out in plain sight. So that would be why Agnes is probably might be there. But I was reading today that a lot of the people, SWORD, as in Sentient Weapon Observation Response Division, had a wall there with all the different people in the town, a bulletin board with all the different people, and they were all corresponded with real people, right? Except for Agnes.
Yep.
She was on the board. But guess who wasn't on the board? Dottie. The town boss was not on the board, which some people are saying maybe she is actually in charge of what's going on, because she's the town boss of the ladies in the town, right?
Well, and everyone seems like there's a sense of fear around her, right? And was she the one who cut her hand?
Yeah, she got so upset about the radio communication that she crushed a glass in her hand, which is not normal either.
Okay, so we're watching Dottie here. She's up to no good.
So now maybe she's Mephisto, or she could be the White Queen from the House of M.
Emma Frost?
Yeah.
Really? That's a pretty deep dive, bringing in the mutant stuff. So Scarlet Witch. Yeah, well, and in the movie universe here, it's kind of a swampy mess because Age of Ultron featured her and her brother.
And they were created by basically by the Mind Stone, right?
Yeah.
Or by experimentation with the scepter, with technology, basically. So and a stone.
Now, in the comic books, they are pretty much the kids of Magneto. So when Age of Ultron came out, there was also that X-Men movie was in the theater around the same time. So we had two versions of Quicksilver. And I remember them having like a little gag where he had a scene where he had his little baby sister sitting on his lap and they were watching TV or something. Right. And they made a quip about that. And then that was all you saw of it. So this character has been in a couple different film franchises. Do you think they're doing anything here? Like, I know the big drive is right now they're going to try and bring the Fantastic Four into the fold, and they're going to try and bring the X-Men back into the Marvel fold, and to a certain extent. Do you think there's maybe a push here to do that, or is there any sort of like...
I don't know. Maybe there is. So I want to go back and say, okay, you were right. She's definitely a mutant. But the thing is, in the Avengers comics that I used to read, they never talked about mutants. That wasn't, that wasn't the focus. So I guess that slipped past me. But yes, you're right. She was an original founding member of the Brotherhood of Mutants. They definitely want to bring the mutants in. They're trying to figure out how to do that. So now the House of M tie-in might be part of it. But the other thing is, Dottie could also be Cleo, which would tie her in with Doctor Strange. Because there's definitely going to be a tie-in here with the Doctor Strange world as well. We need a little more information, I think.
Well, we got some information in this episode, and I think it was... I still have a suspicion that my initial reaction to the first two and their strange way of releasing the two of them at once was because the further on you get in the show, the less that shit means, and they're just going to push that to the back burner. I mean, I think we already saw a whole bunch of stuff besides maybe revealing who else is in the town. But I think those first two episodes, like any of the weird stuff that we saw in there has been explained. The bee guy got explained. Monica Rambeau being in there got explained. The helicopter got explained. The weird colorization stuff kind of has been explained.
Somebody put a theory forth today that maybe after they're all out, people that haven't watched them are going to be given a watch list and said, hey, you should start with 4 and 5 and then watch 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think it was kind of a, you know what? If it got people hooked, like it got people hooked in, right? And it got me hooked in, certainly, but it felt kind of cheap to me that they did that. Whereas if they maybe would have started with the episode that we had now and then did two where you were just like in the middle of a sitcom, then maybe you might, I don't know. There could have been something like that, but I'm just going to wait to really shit hard on those first two until the whole show's come out. I think I'm really holding back on it because I feel like those, I'm going to keep coming back to that until the whole show's over, until like we go back and everything's all tied back in. But It just seems like them putting the two out at the same time and then just kind of rolling into what we've seen now. Don't get me wrong, I like this show and I think it's a really worthwhile watch, but I just have a little gripe about that one, and it's going to carry through probably till the end. So I've made a list of things that I noticed in the episode. You want to talk about some of these? You're going to like the first one. So a while back, you and I had kind of a conversation about some kind of, quote unquote, some kind of.
Some kind of?
Yeah, like when, that trope where it's like, it's some kind of blah and some kind of blah. And so they do that in this one. She touches the thing and we get the quote, it's some kind of energy field.
Right.
So you and I have we talked about that, about how you could just say, oh, it's an energy field. Like, she's obviously fairly certain. Everyone who says that in all these stories is pretty certain of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they could just say it's an energy field. And until they find out otherwise, we'd be fine with that too, right? You've got me into thinking that this is just a really weird saying, and it pops up all the time. And I'm trying to stop myself from saying this to this day. So the other thing that got me, there was some medical show that we were watching way back in the day. I think it was House or something like that, where someone throws out this acronym and then another character goes, "You mean this?" And they tell you what the acronym is, instead of just saying, and acronyms piss me off on the best of days. And it just drives me nuts. So in this one, we got a nice acronym here, which is CMBR. So they first off, they identify CMBR, and then someone has to come back into the story and tell the rest of us, because we're idiots, what CMBR actually means. I didn't write down what it meant because I don't care. It's CMBR now, and I think it's some sort of cosmic radiation, and I don't know what the
background
means.
Radiation.
Oh, cosmic micro background radiation. Is that what it is?
Probably. It's some kind of radiation.
Okay, there we go.
Acronyms are crazy because usually it takes just as much energy and time to say the acronym as it would to just say the words. Almost every time.
Yeah, I'm just done with the, I don't know, the techno babble and stuff. And Agent Wu, man, I love this guy. He's one of my favorite parts of Ant-Man, and to see him back in this one doing his comedic best, I'm just over the moon happy with that dude.
The prediction was that was his voice on the radio.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the prediction, and those people were right because they just recognized his voice.
Beautiful.
So,
well, there's a whole bunch of people out there high-fiving, and I'm glad about that. Right. And big points on the end of this episode for the use of Voodoo Child. I just love that song.
Yeah.
In fact, I was really on the fence about the whole thing, and then I heard Voodoo Child and everything was okay. It was like someone just buttered the pancakes and I was good.
It did feel like they really tied a lot of stuff together. It was a nice touch where the guy in the suit that looked like a beekeeper suit was going down the sewer, and suddenly bees appear all around him, and his suit changes when he went through some kind of energy field.
Some kind of energy field. Yeah, they were putting some kind of drones in there.
Yeah, which apparently turn into tiny helicopters. So I was a little wrong about that one, but sort of close.
They changed their appearance when they went in, though, because the helicopter, she sent in a helicopter first, Monica Rambeau, and when that's the first one that she saw, and it didn't look the same when they were watching it on TV. It's obviously drastically changed its appearance. I think the color scheme was, more or less the same, but it was just a little bit different looking, which was kind of funky. I guess maybe that's a part of her memory or her reality warping powers or something.
Well, I don't know. She's not young enough to have remembered these shows, or old enough, to remember a 1950s show that well. Which means that there's got to be somebody else influencing the shows, right?
Well,
there has to be.
Or either that or she was from Sokovia, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe Sokovians only had black and white TV. You could be right.
Yeah, and maybe they only had 50s stuff. We don't really know what kind of system of government they had. When I was in Germany, for example, in the late 90s, there were a whole bunch of people there who were really obsessed with Dallas, the TV show Dallas. And I was like, they're like, do you know Dallas? And I was like, yeah, I know Dallas. Who shot JR? They were like, JR gets shot? I ruined the whole thing for them. So Speaking of rough TV show endings, there was a show that I used to watch when I was younger, and I never watched the whole run of it, but it had like a really horrible ending, and that was Alf. And I read
Mm.
about the ending just a couple years ago, and I was shocked. I was shocked that it ended the way it did.
The ending of Elf.
Alf, yeah, alien life form Alf.
I don't remember seeing that. I think I was done with the show long before the ending.
Yeah, I never really got that. I'd catch it when it was on once in a while, and it was kind of like it was a funny show, right? Like Alf was a funny character and stuff, and it was kind of like, he'd say something kind of quippy and funny or something like that, and that was kind of like the whole show. But I guess at the end of the show, it gets really dark, and these guys from the government just come in and like zip him up in a zipper bag and take him away to dissect him.
Really?
It's just, oh yeah, it was like, I guess it was really, really crazy shit when it aired back in the day. So I don't know. Let's hope this doesn't happen with WandaVision.
Yeah. Here I'm just reading the ending of Elf. The last episode ends in a cliffhanger with Elf being captured by the US military's alien task force.
Yeah. They're going to take him away and just go put every square inch of his intestines under some kind of microscope.
Yeah, just dissect him like a horse in the movie Cell.
Ugh, that's rough. It's a rough ending for a really fun show, I had an Elf pajamas when I was a kid, and I had no idea that, that's the kind of stuff I was promoting. Here, watch this show.
Well, and if Elf did exist and the U.S. government got a hold of him, that would be his ending.
Well, let's not joke around here. That's yeah. He's not going to wind up in suburbia eating pancakes and cockroaches.
Probably not, unless he's got a fairly good laser weapon with him. Then maybe he can do whatever he wants.
I'm here to do whatever I want. That sounds like the start of a good alien movie. No, that's about it. So quick recap and a few issues there. So I'm tuning in next week. I'm not out of this yet. I'm sticking it in. I like it. I'm liking it now. It's growing on me.
I'm kind of, when you end a series, when you're watching something and you hit the end and it's not the way you want it to be, it's just a bit of a letdown and you don't even want to watch anything anymore. Does that ever happen to you? You just want to take a break?
Yeah, that's when I jump back in and I'll usually go back and I'll watch some movies that I know that I like.
Yeah. Maybe it's time to go back to Fringe, something nice and safe.
Yeah, well, that's what having this stuff on however you watch your shows, like, if you rent it on iTunes or you got it stored somewhere on a hard drive or a Blu-ray or something like that. That's the beauty of having those things, is you can dig them up and pull them out anytime you want and just kind of go back and have a bit of a mind wipe and get into a better frame of mind before you jump into something else.
Yeah, I don't know what's big that's coming up. Nothing really that I know of, right? Nothing groundbreaking, except for maybe the Hawkeye show is going to be coming up sometime this year.
For TV shows, we don't know. I can tell you the ones that I'm really excited about. And there was some news for those this week since we last podcasted. So one of them was Sandman. I don't know if you know anything about Sandman.
Just a touch. It's a Neil Gaiman graphic novel, right?
Yeah, I'm particularly excited about this one. I've been a Sandman fan since my aunt went to a garage sale and brought me home a comic book. And it was right in the middle. If you know anything about Sandman, it's got like a very interconnected story. It's not like a traditional Batman comic where 4 issues he's doing this and then 4 issues he's doing that. This was all one big story that kind of goes through whole 75 issues. And the one that she got me was right in the middle, and it had the weirdest visuals I've ever seen and just the best writing and just really out there stuff. And I jumped in the middle going, what is this? And eventually I wound up picking up all of them. It's my favorite comic book series to this day. And I know that they've been trying to make it into a movie since the late 1980s when it came out and was a big hit. And it's failed every step of the way, which I'm so glad it has, because now I think the creator is heavily involved in this series, which he wasn't before. He was all the other movie rights. The movie rights have gone out and it's been tried to get squeezed into a 2-hour movie. And it's a really bad idea to do that. And it was so bad that if you read any of his books, he's actually written short stories about what a shit show the making of a Sandman movie was for him as a writer, right? This is his baby. So now they've kind of they announced some cast members. There's a couple Game of Thrones alumni there with Charles Dance and Gwyneth Christie, and a bunch of other people I don't particularly know, but I'm sure it's going to be really good. There's a whole bunch of juicy characters that they haven't announced who they cast yet. So I'm looking forward to that. And they just gave us enough that we got enough to satisfy for the hardcore fans like me, and then we got enough mystery for the people who just want to wait until the show comes out. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And then whatever David Lynch is going to talk about tomorrow, I'm sure we'll talk about that next time we get together here. But there are things on the horizon, I guess.
There's more of a fantasy one, which maybe isn't up your alley, but the prequels to the Lord of the Rings. There is going to be a series on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Well,
that's going to dig into the Silmarillion, the original legends of that world.
I enjoy seeing that stuff more than I enjoy reading it. That's for sure. So for me, that's the big thing with fantasy is I just need to see all the stuff. I can't read about it. It just makes me think of crazy talk.
And then, of course, also the Wheel of Time is somewhere in production. I don't know what state they're at, but there's 14 massive Bibles of books there for them to chop into.
Who's the writer of Wheel of Time? Is it Robert Jordan or?
I'm not a mega fan of Wheels of Time.
I'm unfamiliar with it myself.
I read them specifically because my kids kept reading them and telling me about how wonderful they were. And so it was Robert Jordan. But the last two were finished off by Brandon Sanderson because Robert Jordan passed away before he finished the series.
Yeah.
The reason that I started reading Brandon Sanderson books is because he finished that series, and he is an amazing author. He's written some kick-ass books. But the Wheel of Time, that's going to be there's a lot of really interesting ideas in there. Like he had a lot of original content. And like you said, when you said you were glad that it never happened when it was gonna, because it would have been a mess. Well, a lot of these things they wouldn't have put enough effort into. They didn't have enough special effects, and they just weren't going to have a big enough budget. There was no streaming, so it's a different world now. Maybe TV is the place for these things.
Yeah, I think it really is. There's a whole bunch of things. Movies. We got Lord of the Rings, and for all intents and purposes, they really did what a TV show that we're used to does right now with Lord of the Rings. They just took the whole thing and they took a big risk, and they said, we're going to shoot these all back to back. We're going to make all of them all at once. So you're getting them, whether the first one's a big failure or not, which was a huge gamble, right? For every one of these costing, I'm going to say, I don't know what they were, probably 70 to 100 million every movie. Maybe they did them cheaper or whatever, but that's a lot of meat and potatoes to tell that story. Like, you need a lot of space to tell a story like that and to do it justice, where you have anything remotely that looks like what the guy originally wrote. And for anything of that scope and of a story, you need to have that space. And 2-hour movies that you can only make one every 2 years. It's not. It's kind of a letdown, right? Lord of the Rings, you got one every year, and everyone was just, by the time those movies came out, you were just jonesing for it, and you'd already had enough time to go back and rewatch the DVD or whatever of the one that came out the year before, and it was 3 years of just magic, right? And that's a reasonable thing to do, but I mean, not everything can be like that. Right now, we're looking at the same thing with Dune, right? So I'm kind of following the stuff going along with Dune, and I'm a little worried because, they're doing the right thing and they're taking time to do this over 2 movies. But I don't think that they had the Lord of the Rings deal where they were just going to do 2 movies. I think they're going to do 1 movie and then later on go back and do the second movie.
5 years from now.
Yeah. However many years from now. Right.
Which is terrible because all the actors have been aging.
Well, that's
technology's moving on. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same place anymore.
Well, that will serve the story. If they're going to chop it the way I think they're going to chop it, because Dune has a bit of a time jump in there where where you could pick up 5 years down the road or whoever down the road, and it would serve the story better if the characters were a bit older.
It might work for that movie, but it's not helping anything else where they do that. Where they've
No.
said, we're going to release this movie in 2020. No, we changed our minds. 2022.
Well,
and then as far as if there's going to be a continuation of any of those stories of movies that have been put off, it's going to be herky-jerky.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole bunch of properties that made it through the writer's strike in 2008. And I think this might be like sort of a similar scenario. We've got a whole backlog of content that's going to come out. And I know they're still working on making a handful of things. Of course, everyone knows they're making a new Mission Impossible because Tom Cruise freaked out. They're still working on stuff. They just finished shooting Batman. There's movies coming down the pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
They're still trickling.
I don't think it's that they're not working on them. It's not they're not releasing any of them. They've got them all in the can, and they're just waiting until we all get old before we get to see them. You know what I mean? Including the actors.
Well, there's we're at this kind of funky time where, and I totally get, as someone who appreciates movies, what the sentiment is, and the sentiment is for the people who are making the movies is that they're envisioning these movies for a big screen and an audience, and I appreciate that. And I think there'll always be, when we're all done this stuff, there'll be a spot for that again. But for right now, whatever's out there and sitting there waiting to get released, I think if I was a studio head or a person who is kind of, shitting bricks, trying to come up with some numbers here to recoup the costs, to put Dune out right now, like it's coming out in 2021, whether we like it or not. And it might come out on streaming, and it might come out in the theater, and it might come out in both. I'm going to say probably both. And it's not going to do the amount of business that it would have done if it would have come out in 2009 in December. It's not.
No.
And it's not reasonable to expect that it's going to. I don't really know, like the box office the only thing we have to go by right now is Wonder Woman. And I know that the physical box office was pretty weak, but the streaming numbers were really good. They got a whole bunch of people to jump onto that shitty HBO Max app, which we don't get here in this place. And I rented it on iTunes. So, I mean, they've got those numbers to consider and all that jazz. So, whatever metric they're gauging TV shows by, I think that's the same metric they're going to be gauging movies by. And if the two of them can kind of meet in the middle and we get kind of something that's kind of a mold between the two of them, a lot of people have to understand, the guys that are making these films, and I get the sentiment. I mean, I laugh about the David Lynch video where he just is incensed by people watching movies on their fucking phones. I think that's hilarious. And there's no way I'd watch a movie on my phone. But at the same time, I mean, there's a whole host. Like I at Christmas time, I saw people walking out of the big box stores carrying 75-inch TVs out. Like every morning when I leave for work, I see a guy down the street from me, and his whole window, or like he has no curtains, and his whole wall in his house is this giant TV, and they're sitting about 9 feet away from it. I mean, if field of vision is a factor in the cinema experience, which it is, I mean, sitting 9 feet away from a 75-inch TV is kind of like sitting, 20 feet away from a 30-foot wide screen.
It's kind of like holding your iPhone 2 inches from your face too. I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, it is, right? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you could throw on a virtual reality headset and you got a theater in your face, and
we're all wearing earbuds.
We're all wearing earbuds. Would not know the difference.
Or you might be wearing your noise canceling headphones while you're watching your iPhone movie.
Well, I think the big kicker is that the amount of detail and they make them for a connective experience with people, and I think they have that in mind, and I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm just hoping that they gauge Dune by the same metrics that they gauge, say, season 3 of Game of Thrones or any other TV show or whatever. If it brings people to the platform and people watch it in as many legal fashions as they can, well, I guess the big litmus test for all this is going to be my dark horse favorite, March 18th, the Zack Snyder Justice League. So.
Well, that a lot of us just hate the idea of it anyway, and we're not going to watch it. So,
What, the Zack Snyder Justice League?
yeah. Well,
You
I
take
already
that
tried to watch
blasphemy.
the first one and hated it.
So, okay, you're going to school me on the Marvel bullshit.
Go
and
for
then
it.
when we watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, you're going to have to watch it, and then we'll podcast about it, and then I'll give you the DC rundown, and I'll mansplain to you why this is all better.
Well, you might have to.
They had a strong start, I think, with Man of Steel, and I have a soft spot for Man of Steel. I'm a big Superman nut.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second movie, their Batman versus Superman, the Dawn of Justice thing. I think there was kind of like a concerted push from Warner Brothers to use that as like the jumping off point to kind of have what Marvel has, which is that big tied in universe stuff. So they shoehorned a bunch of shit into that movie to kind of make it work. And it did work. It made enough money at the box office, but it put people off. It was dour. It was dark. It had a really pessimistic view of Superman, and then he died. And there's a story behind Justice League in that movie that came out, and I don't know if you're up to speed on all of it, but it is crazy, dude. It is a crazy story about that movie and why we're getting another version of it. And do you know any of that stuff?
Not really.
Oh, geez. Well, I'll have to. I'll send you some stuff, and then we can talk about that. It's actually what's happening here. I find it kind of amazing because there was a big fan backing thing, and if you hear the story about Zack Snyder and his family and what went on there, I think you might change your mind about wanting to watch this one.
Maybe I'll give it a spin. But
oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
It feels like especially the DC universe, just keeps restarting and restarting and restarting and never moving on. If they could just roll with something, just, okay, here's how Superman started. Now we're never going there ever again. And we're going to go into the future from here is all I want to see. You know what I mean? That's all I want to see. I don't want to see the Joker Origins part 900.
Well, it's possible. I mean, we all forgot that Edward Norton was the Hulk, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that Terrence Howard was Rhodey too. There's lots of ways of jumping on and moving on and all that stuff. And I just think they need to have some clever writers and to just bring it in at the right time. I mean, I don't know if you saw Shazam. It was a fun.
Shazam was good.
Fun little movie that kind of, walked in and kind of put its 2 cents in and tied a few things together and was its own little standalone thing, which I appreciated. And Wonder Woman did the same thing. Yeah, the Wonder Woman sequel kind of.
No, the Wonder Woman movies were good so far, although I haven't watched the last one because
it's not good.
Okay, well,
but you can I'd say watch it and see. I mean, there's things to like in there and there's lots not to like, but I'd give them another shot at making another one because I think the same people would knock it out of the park. I mean, Iron Man 2 wasn't the hottest, and Iron Man 3 was pretty good, and Thor 1 and 2 weren't the hottest, and Thor 3 was phenomenal. Yeah. So, I mean, it all depends on, I guess, the script and who's doing this stuff. But yeah, I mean, if I'm kind of hoping that this Justice League is a hit. There's a story behind it, and it's a pretty good story, I think, at the end of the day. There's been some dickheads along the way that said some nasty shit, but a lot of goods come out of it too. Just same with anything that happens on the internet, I guess. And I don't know. I think in the end, it's kind of like I don't know. It's a good one. I think it'll be a good one.
Okay.
Well, we'll call her a day, and we'll reconvene, I guess. You want to do this next week, Tim?
Sure.
I think we're on a roll here.
We should peek into Twin Peaks.
You want to peek into Twin Peaks, okay?
Or do you want to wait until you watch the whole thing again first?
Well, I'm just at the weird point in season 2, and I really want to get through another watch of season 3. I think so.
Okay, we'll wait on that.
We might park it for a bit. We'll have tons more to talk about next week, I'm sure. I'm watching movies like a madman, so we'll talk, and we'll talk some Justice League. I think there will be a trailer out maybe by the next time we talk. So,
and of course, there'll be another episode of WandaVision.
Of course, we're going to wander into WandaVision.
Okay, well let's call her an episode and talk again next week.
All right. Well, this has been Some Kind of Podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Till next time.
Maybe some strange energy field.
That's right. All right. You have a good night. Thanks for tuning in and listening.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.